the sound before the sun, before the pulse where time begun. The deep was shadow, shapeless still, a void awaiting the maker's will. No spark, no star, no shimmer to see, only darkness breathing endlessly. Then a voice like thunder split the haze, a command that tore through the silent maze. Light burst forth, fierce and good. He spoke, and it stood. Day from night split clean in two. The first dawn rose on a world brand new. Waters above, waters below, chaos caught in a tidal throw. He carved the sky with a sovereign hand, drew out breath where heaven stand. No storm could bend what his word subdued. He spoke, and it stood. The waters fled when he called the ground. Dry earth rose with a trembling sound. Valleys bowed, the mountains climb. The soil woke up for the first of time. Grass unfurled like a whispered hymn. Roots dug deep where the edge grew dim. Oceans roared where the coastline stood. He spoke, and it stood. From the void to the dawn, to the dust made good. Every atom answered. He spoke, and it stood. Storm or star, wind or wood, nothing dares bend when the maker has stood. Let there be, and there was, only God could. He spoke, and it stood. Lights ignited the roof of night, one to rule the day, one to guard the twilight. Galaxies spun like sparks in a forge, each by name in the mind of the Lord. Black turned blue where the sunrise brewed. He spoke, and it stood. Feathers burst from the breath of the skies, wings caught wind where the silence lies. Scouts flash bright in the ocean's crush, depths alive in a sacred rush. Creatures swarmed where the tides renewed. He spoke, and it stood. Beast of the field, the claw and the mane, pulse and muscle, sinew and frame. Every heartbeat struck from flame, yet none bore the eternal name. Then dust was gathered by holy design, formed by the hands that sculpt the divine. Breath like fire filled mortal clay, a soul woke up in the light of day. Image bearer, flesh and blood, born because he spoke, and it stood. And when the work was wholly done, he crowned the dusk, he blessed the sun. Rest fell soft where the world once groaned, a holy stillness the maker owned. From the void to the dawn, to the dust made good. Every atom answered. He spoke, and it stood. Light obeyed, the oceans understood. The stars sang back. He spoke, and it stood. Let there be, and there was, only God could. He spoke, and it stood. Soul lies waiting in the breathless hush. Earth cold, unmoved, a colorless hush. Then footsteps echo in a world newborn, a whisper shaping the shape of form. crust, and man woke up from the sleep of dust. Heart beating like a breaking dawn, pulse where there had never been one. No crown, no throne, no glory thrust, just mercy breathing into dust. Dust with a pulse and a mind that sees me to walk in the cool of the trees. Not born of battle, not hewn from blood, but shaped from earth by a maker good. Breath in the lungs, truth in the trust. Life begins when he breathes on dust. Rivers cutting path through emerald fire. Every tree a promise, every scent a choir. Gold in the ground and glory in the breeze. A home built perfect between four seas. No hunger then, no shadow dread, only fruit ripe enough to raise the dead. Adam walked where the present stood, naming beast in a world called good. Claw and feather, hoof and scale, every living thing trailed a holy trail. No crown, no throne, no glory thrust, just mercy breathing into dust. Dust with a pulse and a mind that sees made to walk in the cool of the trees. Not born of battle, not hewn from blood, but shaped from earth by a maker good. Breathe in the lungs, truth in the trust. Life begins when he breathes on dust. Sleep fell soft like a velvet night, a curtain closing out the light. Rib was taken, not lost but found, shaped to beauty, shape profound. Bone to bone and flesh to flesh, two hearts woven in a single mesh. Not clone, not shadow, not lesser form, but the fire beside him, fierce and warm. When Adam woke, the silence broke. Love first breathed when the woman spoke. No fear between them, no veil, no pain, no storm in the soul, no curse in the vein. Only the echo of footsteps near, only the voice that drove out fear. Dust with a pulse and a mind that sees made to walk in the cool of the trees. Not born of battle, not hewn from blood, but shaped from earth by a maker good. Breathe in the lungs, truth in the trust. Life begins when he breathes on dust. Garden glows, the wind moves slow, peace like a river where the green leaves grow. But in the hush beneath the gold-lit trees, something curls in the shadows, learning how to breathe. Serpent sliding like a rumor on a borrowed tongue, smooth voice dripping venom where the fruit hangs young. Silver scales catching daylight like a knife in the grass, eyes sharp with the cunning of a predator's past. He circles Eve with a whisper wound tight as wire, a coil of questions stoking quiet fire. Not a roar, not a strike, just a seed of doubt. Did God really say? And the truth thins out. One line twisted turns a vow to smoke. A single drop of poison makes the whole world choke. A lie shaped gentle cause the deepest cleaves, that's the hiss in the leaves. The hiss in the leaves, the breath that deceives, the quiet coil tightening under the eaves. One lie spoken and innocence grieves. Hear the rustle, that's the hiss in the leaves. Hey! 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 desires wait, calling beauty good at the serpent's rage. She bites, world shatters in a single taste, sweet on the tongue but bitter in the waist. She hands it over, Adam feels the cost. One breath later, paradise is lost. I split open, innocence undone. Shame crawls cold where nakedness runs. They stitch fig leaves with trembling hands, trying to cover what guilt demands. Step by step, the whisper grips and weaves. Hear the hiss in the leaves. The hiss in the leaves, the breath that deceives, the quiet coil tightening under the eaves. One lie spoken and innocence screams. Hear the rustle, that's the hiss in the leaves. Yeah, yeah. Thunder in trees, Adam hides where the shadows been, running from the presence he once called friend. Where are you? Echoes through the shattered calm, a voice like judgment, a voice like bomb. Blame falls fast like a breaking wave, Eve to the serpent, man to the grave. Curses written where the soil was sweet, thorns erupt from the one soft peat. Sword flame guards the gate of grace, seed and closes like a fallen vase. What seemed so small grew tall as sin. What slipped outside crawled deep within. One choice, one breath, one broken reprieve. All from the hiss in the deceives, the quiet coil tightening under the eaves. One lie spoken and innocence screams. Hear the rustle, that's the hiss in the leaves. From Eden's dust to the soil still mourns, hands built strong from the sweat of thorns. One brings fruit, one brings blood. Both kneel in the dust, but envy grows quickest when worship meets trust. Cain plows hard through a curse-worn land. Earth fights back from the sweat of his hand. Abel walks light with the flock he tends. Smoke rising soft like a prayer that ascends. Two altars burning in the newborn air. Two hearts stripped open in a holy stare. But God leans close to the shepherd's flame. Not the farmer's field, not the pride he claimed. Heat hits Cain like a blade on bone, like thunder booming in the marrow alone. Face falls heavy with the storm's slow churn. The fire inside, he's not ready to burn. A thought, a spark, a fuse that flickers. Brother's killer, brother's keeper, brother's killer. Rage turns quiet, hearts to pillars. Blood on soil, truth grows realer. Who am I, a thief, a healer? When envy strikes, no blade is chiller. Brother's keeper, brother's killer. The Lord speaks low with the warning clear. Why burn with anger? Why drown in fear? Sin's at your door like a crouching beast. If you don't rule it, you'll be its feast. Cain hears truth but swallows the sound. Heart pounding harder than the curse-bound ground. He nods like he listens, but the fire won't fade. A storm inside him that heaven made. He calls his brother to the open plain. No witness near in the shadowed grain. Abel smiles soft like a trusting friend, but some stories cut sword in a silent scene. Cain stands shaking with the deed he chose, staring down at the weight he froze. But blood has a voice like a drum in the ground, an echo rising with the holy sound. The Lord walks close through the broken sheaves, voice like fire in the trembling leaves. Where is your brother? Where does he lie? Cain stares blank with a practiced lie. Am I brother's keeper? But truth won't still her. The blood cries louder. Brother's killer. Cursed from the land that swallowed his blood, a wanderer shaped by the weight of the flood. No soil will yield you a strength or grace. You'll run forever from your brother's face. Grace still flickers where wrath might blaze. A mark set on him in protective way. Brother's keeper, brother's killer. Truth cuts deeper than any thriller. Blood remembers, dust grows chiller. Who am I? A judge, a spiller. Sin's cold coil turns hearts to pillars. Brother's keeper, brother's killer. Brother's killer. Brother's killer. Brother's killer. Brother's keeper, brother's killer. Brother's killer. Before the storm, before the flood, before the world drowned in its own blood, a dark age rose where the shadows roam, where violence grew teeth and the wild things roam. Generations stacked like smoke in the sky, long lives burning while the end drew nigh. Hip-hop. From Adam down to the last old name, lifespan stretched like a broken flame. 900 years of breath and bone, each man ending where the next had grown. Sons of the soil with calloused hands, cities rising on forgotten lands. Every birth recorded in the dust-worn scroll, whole world's turning in a single soul. But with every child came another divide, a heart pulled further from the holy God. Humanity drifted like ships unmoored, loving the darkness their fathers endured. When hearts go wild, the violence slow. That's the echo of giants in the bones. Giants in the bones, shadows in the stones. A world full of rumors where corruption groans. Every heartbeat darker than the one before. Sin at the threshold, clawing at the door. From the hills to the plains where the wicked had grown. Hear the tremble, giants in the bones. Giants in the bones. Hear the tremble, giants in the bones. Warriors rose with a titan stance, men of renown with the death high glance. Legends living where the wild winds moan. Earth felt heavy where their feet had grown. Crowns carved rough from a conqueror's pride. Mighty ones walking with the grave at their side. Their laughter shook valleys, their fists broke kings. Every breath thundered with impossible things. Stories whispered of battles untold, cities broken by a grip too bold. The world bent low beneath their thrones, the weight of giants grinding bones. From power fed hunger like a furnace wide, strength without mercy becomes genocide. Blood on the fields where the innocent roam, sin in the roots, giants in the bones. Where heaven grieves and the groundstone groans, you're hearing giants in the bone. Giants in the bone. blood grown high, every intention corrupt, every promise forgot. Judgment whispered like a storm's first moan, heaven preparing what the earth had sown. Wind chills the spine where the wicked roam, prophets silent, idols foam. Every city a spark from a lightning stone, the end approaching with the grinding tone. When God surveys what the night dethrones, he hears the giants in the bones. Giants in the bones, shadows in the stones, a world full of rumors where corruption groans. Every heartbeat darker than the one before, sitting at the threshold, clawing at the door. From the hills to the plains where the wicked had grown, hear the tremble, giants in the bones. Giants in the bones, hear the tremble, giants in the bones. When heaven weeps and the whole world mourns, hear the tremble, giants in the bones. The flood is coming for the giants in the bones. Sky goes black like a veil being torn. Wind howls low like a beast being born. The world holds breath as the heavens shudder. You can taste the storm in the rising utter. One family waits while the oceans mutter. Wood beams groaning in the gathering clutter. Swings hammers in a sunburned land, faith built plank by plank in his calloused hands. Laughter follows him like a sneering wind, whole crowd cheer loud at the righteous man's grin. He measures every cubit with a mind on fire, crafted obedience with the carpenter's wire, pitching the seams where the judgment sleeps. A hull prepared for the world God keeps. Rain not yet fallen but the promise stood, prophecy etched in the shape of wood. Three decks rising where the shadows bend, a floating sermon no one would attend. Wolves, sparrows, lions in the thunder tones, pairs drawn inward by the spirit's groans. The door stands wide till the last heart turns, but mockers stay blind while the fuse still burns. When mercy closes and the warning grows blunter, the sky cracks open with 40 days of thunder. 40 days of thunder, 40 nights of rain, world thrown under waters born of pain. Heaven's judgment rolling like a tidal roar, waves climb higher than they climbed before. Every heartbeat trembling, every memory torn asunder. Ride the ark through 40 days of thunder. First drop hits like a drum on stone, then the rain descends with a voice full grown. Clouds burst open like a dam unbound, skies bleeding rivers where the lost ones drown. Fountains from the deep tear the earth in half, mountains shake under the ocean's wrath. Shouts fade fast where the waters climb, whole lifetime swallowed in a moment's time. Noah hears pounding on the sealed up side, hands of the mockers in the rising tide. But judgment held fast like a prophet's vow, what mercy offered once is closed off now. Lightning scribbles sermons in a furious arc, thunder rewriting the world in the dark. The ark tilts upward where the whirlwinds churn, faith afloat while the continents burn. When God remembers, but the wicked go under, the world shakes open with 40 days of thunder. 40 days of thunder, 40 nights of rain, world thrown under waters born of pain. Heaven judgment rolling like a tidal roar, waves climb higher than they climbed before. Every heartbeat trembling, every memory torn asunder. Ride the ark through 40 days of thunder. Inside the hull the darkness hums, wood creaks low as the deluge drums. Animals breathing in a crowded hush, world reduced to a trembling crush. Noah prays softly while the waters climb, counting mercy out in measured time. Lightning flashes through the tar-sealed beams, painting visions like fragmented dreams. Suns hold lanterns and the midnight swells walls, watching shadows dance in the rising hells. Every roll of the waves is a memory burned of a world erased, of a judgment earned. Yet hope stays steady as the mass true center. Life waits sleep until the hand says enter. 40 days stretching like a war drum's breath. Every sunrise haunted by the scent of death. But even in ruin a promise smolders. Heaven carries justice on its shoulders. Wind carves pathways where the currents thunder. God preserving what the world tore under. 40 days of thunder, 40 nights of rain. World thrown under waters, born of pain. Heaven's judgment rolling like a tidal roar. Waves climb higher than they climbed before. But mercy lingers, fierce and tender. A new world waits beyond the thunder. 40 thrown under waters, born of pain. Heaven's judgment rolling like a tidal roar. Waves climb higher than they climbed before. But mercy lingers, fierce and tender. A new world waits beyond the thunder. Heavy where the mountains slept, a world reset where the shadows wept. The ark drifts slow on a silent sea, a cradle carved for what life will be. Sky still bruised from the storm's last fight, but hope stirs faint in the newborn light. No one leans close to the tar-sealed wall, hears wave after wave like a funeral call. 40 days ended but the waters remain. Deep groans murmuring a prophecy's refrain. Every creak of timber is a prayer in the dark, a heartbeat echoing the bones of the ark. Animals pacing in a restless sway, each breath fogging the air like a ghost ballet. Suns hold lanterns where the shadows wait, tracing time slowly in the hands of fate. No one whispers him to keep feeling, songs of a covenant not yet seen. The world is drowned but the promise isn't. Faith is a seed that the flood can imprison. When silence stretches where judgment bit, he sends the raven to measure it. Raven in the silence, dove in the light. One tests the shadows, one tests the right. From the flood's cold grave to the mountain's height, God turns endings into wings in flight. Raven in the silence, dove in the light. Hope returns from the edge of night. Noah releases the raven first, a scavenger sent to the worlds dispersed. It circles wreckage where the dead now sleep, a lone black figure over endless deep. It does not return for the night still calls, its hunger feasting on the graveyard sprawls. But Noah waits with a patient flame, knowing hope doesn't answer to the raven's name. He sends out the dove with a softer plea, find me a whisper of the land to be. White wings beating over drowned terrain, a fragile envoy through the grief and rain. It comes back empty, no rest in sight, still the ark drifts on in the dim half-light. 7 days later he sends her again, a second prayer carried on a feathered pen. She returns with an olive sprig held tight, a green vein promising the fading light. When mercy leans in and the waters take flight, he sends the dove in the newborn light. Raven in the silence, dove in the light. One tests the shadows, one tests the right. From the flood's cold grave to the mountain's height, God turns endings into wings in flight. Raven in the silence, dove in the light. Hope returns from the edge of night. Ground breaks open where the waters fade, a world reborn from the runes they made. Noah steps out with a trembling breath, 1 foot planted on the grave of death. He builds an altar where the stones feel warm, a tribute raised from a surviving storm. Smoke coils upward in a tender stream, a prayer reborn from a shattered dream. God speaks softly to the cleansed earth's bones. A vow carved deep into time's wet stones. Never again will the flood consume. Life will flourish where the seeds resume. Then heaven bends low with the spectrum bright. A bow of colors in the newborn light. Not drawn for battle, not bent to kill, but a promise stretched across every hill. Clouds retreat where the rain once bled. Mercy crowned in a sunrise spread. Storm's long memory, mercy's throne. Judgment finished, grace made known. Light refracted where the dark withdrew. A covenant painted in crimson and blue. World once drowned now stands upright, guided by a bow in the morning light. Raven in the silence, dove in the light. One test the shadows, one test the right. From the flood's cold grave to the mountain's height, God turns endings into wings in flight. Raven in the silence, dove in the light. Hope returns from the edge of night. From ruin to promise, from fear to sight. Grace walks in on the wings of light. Dust rises thick with the plains spread wide. Shinar's valley breathing heat on the pride. Voices gather like a storm in birth, hands shaping kingdoms from the baked red earth. Ambition humming like a hive unseen, a people united in a restless dream. Nimrod walks tall with a hunter's power, a king forged early in the world's first hour. Cities bloom fast where his footsteps land, walls shaped smooth by his calloused hand. Uruk rising with its iron glare, a crown hammered out from the desert air. Tribes converge at the builder's call, stone by stone they abandon the fall. One language spoken with a single beat, each word marching in the sun's white heat. The minds catch fire with a dream untold, a tower stretching where the heavens unfold. We'll build a name no flood can sever, a skyborn refuge that stands forever. Dry stacked high where the dust cloud settles, Babel's heartbeat forging bricks and metals. The bricks of Babel, the climb to the sky. Hands raise cities where the proud defy. One voice, one will, one desperate cry. Make us a name that will never die. But heaven watches where the dust runs dry. Mortals reaching past their destined sky. Past their destined sky. Kilns burn white with the furnace roar. Mud turns stone on a sun-scorched floor. Lines of workers in a riven trance, each step measured like a war front dance. Children carve symbols on foundation stones, dreaming of thrones on celestial zones. Elders whisper of a world unbound, no God above, only man renowned. Brick stacks rise like a spine of flame, every level shouting the same bold claim. No flood, no fear, no voice above, we'll rule the heights where the eagles move. Mortar mixed thick with defiant sweat, spreading a monument to cosmic debt. But pride climbs faster than the tower's frame, hearts drowning deep in the self-made name. Ambition shakes with the skyline rattles, God walks down to inspect their battles. The bricks of Babel that climb to the sky, hands raise cities where the proud defy. One voice, one will, one desperate cry. Make us a name that will never die. But heaven watches where the dust runs dry. Mortals reaching past their destined sky. Low with the thunder sigh, a righteous whisper in the heat-drenched sky. God sees a people with a single might, unity twisted into self-made light. If they do this now with one voice heard, nothing they attempt will be deferred. Not wrath but mercy stays his hand to scatter pride across the land. He speaks a command like a lightning cleave, tongue split sharp where the builders breathe. Words break open like a shattered stone, language fracturing in a chaotic tone. Brick tribes splintering from the might obscene. Cities abandoned in a single night. Ambition scattered by the breath of light. From Shinor's fields to the earth's far zones, pride lies buried in forgotten stones. The bricks of Abel to climb to the sky. Hands raised, cities where the proud defy. One voice, one will, one desperate cry. Make us a name that will never die. But heaven shadows what the proud supply. Only God stands where the rest run dry. The tower crumbles, the nations fly. Dust remembers who owns the sky. Dust remembers who owns the sky.
Night spills wide across a desert plain. Wind drags sand like a ghost in chain. One man listens in the twilight scar. A voice calls out to a wandering star. No map offered, no kingdom shown. Just the God who speaks from an unseen throne. As your only sign, Noah's bones barely cooled in the earth they knew. When Abram rose up with the faith that grew, Earth's bright torches burning pagan flame, statues of stone with the hollow name. But Abram heard fire in the living word, a call so sharp that the soul concurred. He packed his tents with trembling hands, crossed the rivers into stranger lands. So I walked steady with the quiet grace, trusting the God she had yet to face. Lot trailed behind with the shepherd's pride, 3 figures moving where the wild winds glide, not knowing the steps nor the cost they paid. Just a promise whispered, I will show the way. When faith walks blind through the night afar, you hear the call of a wandering star. Call of a wandering star. Roads unknown, horizons far. Leave what you've been, be who you are. Chosen and marked by a holy scar, drifting through desert, following the bar of heaven's voice on an unseen guitar. This is the call of a wandering star. Canaan's hills rise like a rugged spine, land half wild but promise divine. God speaks again with the covenant thread, your offspring uncounted like stars overhead. Abram builds altars where the present stayed, stone set stone in the worship brave. But famine falls hard with the skeletal bite, driving them south under Egypt's light. Fear grips Abram in a twisting snare, so rise beauty shining like a royal snare. Pharaoh reaches with the king's bold claim, but God strikes quick with the plague of flame. So I restored with the righteous shove, a rescue born from protective love. They flee the Nile with their flocks increased, blessing rising where the fear had ceased. Faith still staggers, but it travels far, guided by the call of a wandering star. Call of a wandering star. Roads unknown, horizons far. Leave what you've been, be who you are. Chosen and marked by a holy scar, drifting through desert, following the bar of heaven's voice on an unseen guitar. This is the call of a wandering star. Wandering star. Life's urge grow tall where the plains spread green. His eyes chase Sodom with a restless sheen. He leaves his uncle for the wealthy ground, a choice that echoes with a hollow sound. 5 kings clash with a thunderous stride, cities burning as the armies collide. Lots taken captive in the war-torn sweep, dragged through the valley like a stolen sheep. But Abram armed servants with the warrior's flame, 300 men bearing loyalty's name. They strike at night with the blade of surprise, dust exploding where the campfires rise. Lot pulled free from the captor's bind, a family rescued from a fate unkind. Melchizedek steps with the priestly air, bread and wine offered in a righteous prayer. Blessing falls heavy with the night turns mild. Blessed be Abram, God's chosen child. Night splits open with the furnace flare, a smoking torch in the desert air. God walks past where the animals part, carving promise deep in Abram's heart. Your son's like stars, your land held tight, my covenant sealed in eternal light. Call of a wandering star, roads unknown, horizons far. Leave what you've been, be who you are. Chosen and marked by a holy scar, dust to destiny, near or far. Faith moves forward like a traveling spar, through fear, through famine, through war's cold spar. Still burns the call of a wandering star. Sand curls upward in a scorched wind breath. Two stories rising from the edge of death. One child born where the shadows gather. One child promised by a holy father. Two roads twisting in a sunlit haze. Both carved deep in the Ancient of Days. Sorrow is the tense at dawn. Years stack heavy where hopes were drawn. A womb that sighed with unanswered plea. Pain stretched tight across destiny. She offers Hagar with a trembling voice, a desperate plan born of shattered choice. Hagar conceives and the balance shifts. Sarai feels bitter in this desert drift. Harsh words cut deep in the morning glare, sending Hagar fleeing through wilderness air. By a spring of water in a lonely place, the angel meets her with the burning grace. I see your sorrow, I hear your cry. Your sun will rise where the eagles fly. Call him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard his life a prophecy in a restless word. Hagar returns with the promise known, first mother blessed in a world overthrown. Two suns rising where the deserts glisten. When God speaks promise, the faithful listen. The knife and the promise, the fire and the vow. God writes covenant on the dust somehow. Through wombs long silent and hearts made raw. Grace cuts deeper than the sharpest law. From desert cries to a mountain's rise, the promise stands where the knife replies. In the heat of noon, a thunder soft whisper beneath the moon. Abram, rise, your name grows vast. Abraham now, for the ages cast. Arise, become Sarah, a queen of grace, a mother of nations in a barren place. Covenant sealed with the cost of skin, a mark on the body of the faith within. Blood on the blade and the circles trace. seeks out in a tent at dawn. Isaac born where despair had drawn. Joy so fierce it splits the years. A child of promise wiping ancient tears. But two sons growing in a fragile peace. One born free, one born lease. Ishmael mocked with a restless shove. And tension rose like a wounded dove. Sarah cries out with a mother's fear. Send them away for the air stands here. Abraham grieves with a split heartache. Two loves pulling with a tethered brake. But God says go, for our God is days. Ishmael lives by my sovereign ways. Hagar wanders where the heat waves shatter. Child fainting in the desert's chatter. God hears again in the scorching light. A well springs up in the heart of night. Two paths carved where the grief cuts flawless. But one oath binds the knife and the promise. The knife and the promise. The knife and the promise. The fire and the vow. God writes covenant on the dust somehow. Through wombs long silent and hearts made raw. Grace cuts deeper than the sharpest law. From desert cries to a mountain's rise. The promise stands where the knife replies. Where the knife replies. Then the hardest whisper ever spoken falls. Take the son you love, answer when I call. Let Isaac up where the mountains stand. Offer him there by your trembling hand. 3 days walking in the burning hush. Footsteps heavy in a father's crush. Isaac carries wood up the steep incline. Fire and blade at his father's spine. Where is the lamb? He murmurs low. Abraham answers with the faint glow. God will provide though his heart bleeds white. Each step pressing with the edge of night. He binds his son on the altar stone. Knife raised high in a shattering tone. Heaven erupts in the thunder blast. Do not touch him, the test has passed. A ram caught fast in a thicket snare. God's own answer to a father's prayer. On Moriah's peak the fire turns gold. God swears a promise that will not fold. Your sons like stars, your gates held tight. Through your seed, nations find their light. The knife and the promise, the fire and the vow. God writes covenant on the dust somehow. Through fear and flame, through sacrifice. Grace meets judgment at the highest price. From desert cries to a mountain's rise. Love holds steady where the knife defies. Faith stands burning where the fear dies. Still stands a knife and the promise. Two brothers wrestle before they breathe. A struggle planted in the womb beneath. One reaches out with a newborn hand, grasping a heel he can barely understand. A prophecy whispered in Rebecca's ear. The older shall serve the younger here. The soul rises like a wild-born flame, red as the earth with a hunter's aim. Jacob grows quiet with a cunning mind, a calm-born shepherd of a different kind. One loves to chase the scorching field, one trusts the promise, the quiet yields. Hunger drives Esau to the tent one day, his strength undone by the heat's harsh sway. Jacob stirs stew with a patient heart, a bargain waiting in a steady heart. Sell me your birthright, swear it here. Esau trades future for a bull held near. A moment small, but the story bends. Blessings altered where impulse ends. Two paths diverging in a single breath. One shaped by hunger, one shaped by death. Hills, birthrights, and broken blessings. Choices made with quiet pressings. What God father's a mother's scheme, a mantle stolen from a father's dream. Jacob steps close in his brother's guise, goat skins tied where the true hair lies. Isaac trembles with the father's ache. The voice is Jacob's, but the hands partake. He blesses him there with a sacred breath, a fragile moment dividing life from death. Esau returns with the cry untamed, a wounded roar through a soul inflamed. Bless me also, but the moment's fled. Jacob's shadow lies where the promise led. Wrath burns deep like a hunting fire. Jacob flees fast from his brother's ire. When blessings fracture and hatred presses, a fleeing man still God addresses. Heals, birthrights, and broken blessings. Choices made with quiet pressings. What God declares, no man suppressings. Grace moves sharp in its own dressings. Through deceit, departure, fear, confessings. Love still weaves in broken blessings. Jacob sleeps hard on a stone-cold bed. Stars leaning close where the night has bled. A ladder rises in a blazing span. Heaven touching the dreams of a running man. Angels ascending like embers bright. God standing above in unveiled light. I'll be with you, child, wherever you go. Your seed will flourish, your name will grow. Jacob wakes trembling in the morning pale, vowing devotion in the shaken trail. He journeys far to his uncle's land, meets Rachel's grace by a shepherd's stand. 7 years pledge for a single bride, but Laban twists truth like a shifting tide. Leah stands veiled in the wedding light, love misplaced in a father's slide. 7 more years for the bride he chose, 2 sisters bound in a thorn twine prose. Children rise like a river's flow, tribes of a nation beginning to grow. Through years of labor and hidden stressings, God shapes gold from broken blessings. Hails, birthrights, and broken blessings. Choices made with quiet pressings. What God declares, no man suppressings. Grace moves sharp in its addressings. Through deceit, departure, fear, confessings. Love still weaves in broken blessings. Jacob returns with a trembling heart. Esau approaching like a mountain start. Fear knots tight where regrets collide. Old wounds rising with the turning tide. Alone at night by the river's bend, a stranger grapples with him without end. Sweat and dust in a moonlit frame, a man made mortal by a sacred flame. Let me go, the stranger cries, but Jacob clings with tear-filled eyes. I will not leave till you bless me true, until you name what I cannot do. The stranger breaks him with a single touch, a wounded hip that aches too much. Jacob no more, the presence said Israel rises where Jacob bled. Dawn lights mercy where the river runs. 2 brothers meeting under softened sun. Hails, birthrights, and broken blessings. Crossroads carved from ancient pressings. What God swears needs no redressings. Hope still sings to all confessings. From stolen vows to love caressing. God writes grace in broken blessings. A dreamer walks with a lantern line, visions burning in a boy refined. Brothers watch with a tightening throat, envy stirring at the sight of a code. Threads of color in the desert wind, a father's love, a brotherhood thin. Joseph speaks dreams with a youthful fire. Sheaves bow down at my heart's desire. Again he speaks and the stars incline. Sun, moon, and brothers in a sacred line. Jacob wonders with the father's ache, but envy coils where the jealous wake. Fields stretch wide in a sunlit sprawl. Brothers whisper of a darker call. When Joseph comes with his steady stride, the hatred gathers like a storm outside. Here comes the dreamer, the eldest sneers, a sentence echoing through the years. They seize him fast with a hunter's grip, tear the coat from his trembling hip, into a pit where the shadows choke. Hope falls silent with the dust and smoke. trader's pace. Coins exchanged in a foreign place. Silver clinks like a serpent's grin. Joseph sold by his father's kin. Reuben returns with a hollow cry. Too late to mend or justify. Goat's blood smeared on the favored thread. A coat brought home like a son found dead. Jacob collapses with a thundered moan. Grief carved deep in a trembling groan. But Joseph walks where the chains are tied. Led to Egypt under foreign light. Potiphar sees with discerning eyes. A servant gifted beyond disguise. Joseph rises with a steady hand. Order blooming in a stranger's land. Potiphar's wife burns with deceit. Lies unfurling into poison heat. Her cry twists truth with a jagged stroke. Joseph shackled for a crime unspoken. Prison's cold where the silence glows. God keeps watch over bloodied coats. Blood in the coat, dust at his feet. Dreams thrown down in a desert heat. But God writes stories no hate can beat. Grace plants roots where sorrows meet. From father's tears to a slave's retreat. Hope survives in the bloody bed. Prison walls hum with the muted dread. But Joseph's light refuses to shed. The jailer sees what Potiphar knew. A wisdom burning, fierce and true. Two men dream in the shadowed night. Visions craving a guiding light. Joseph reads them with the prophet's ear. Truth to live them without veneer. One will rise back to Pharaoh's side. One will fall where the ravens glide. Days pass slow in a thickened haze. Forgotten hope lost in prison's maze. Yet God remembers where the dreamer dwells. Purpose woven through the iron cells. Pharaoh dreams with the fear-lit cry. Lean cows rising where the fat ones die. Stalks devoured in the scorching gloom. A famine stalking the world to doom. None can read what the shadows say. Court magicians fall in disarray. Cupbearer speaks with a sudden start. A memory pulled from a dusty heart. Pharaoh, a Hebrew in prison, waits. A man who unlocks the dream-bound gates. From pits to chains to royal codes. God lives, truth where the sorrow flows. Blood in the coat, dust at his feet. Dreams thrown down in a desert heat. But God writes stories no hate can beat. Grace plants roots where sorrows meet. From father's tears to a slave's retreat. Hope survives in the bloody bed. Joseph is summoned to Pharaoh's throne. Shaved and clothed in a stature grown. He reads the dream with a steady breath. 7 years life, 7 years of death. Store the grain while the fields still yield. Guard the harvest in every field. Pharaoh nods with a sovereign tone. The spirit of God in this man alone. Joseph rises where the dream ignites. Second to Pharaoh in Egypt's heights. Coat once torn, now a garment bright. A life restored from a brother's fight. Blood in the coat, dust at his feet. Dreams rise up through the famine's heat. What man meant harm, God turned complete. Grace took hold in the bloody bed. Bloody Famine cracks through the dust-gray land. 7 lean years with a ruthless hand. Brothers journey with a hunger's pull. Sacks half empty, their hearts half full. Egypt rises like a sun-baked throne. One man waiting, they once disowned. They bow before a governor stern, not knowing eyes that watch him burn. Joseph sees them through a veiled restraint. Memory stinging like a half-formed lament. 10 bow low, but one is gone. Benjamin absent.
listen like a missing dawn. Joseph calls harsh with a practiced steel, testing the hearts that once failed to feel. Spies he accuses with a measured breath, masking mercy beneath the thought of death. 3 days locked in a silent room, guilt rising thick like a desert bloom. They speak in whispers no walls can hide. We saw his tears before he died. Reuben groans with a fractured cry. Our brother's blood demands reply. Joseph turns away with a breaking chest, weeping alone where grief finds rest. What you meant for evil, God bent toward good. A story carved deeper than brotherhood. From pit to throne, where the wounded stood, grace turns drought into daily food. What you meant for evil, heaven understood. Mercy grows wild where hatred brews. Simeon stays in a prison's keep, collateral weight in a promise deep. The others return with a trembling word. Jacob wounded by what he's heard. Joseph is gone and now this too. Must grief take everything I knew? Yet famine tightens with the iron thread. Benjamin rises though the father dreads the brother's journey with the humble gate. Silver return in a twist of fate. Joseph sees Benjamin and the world stands still. A younger face untouched by ill. Tears rush back like a broken flood. He hides himself lest they taste the blood. A feast is set with the Northern scheme. Benjamin's portion like a royal dream. Still Joseph tests with the final snare. A silver cup in the youngest wear. He waits to see if their hearts have grown, if they'll abandon kin as once they chose. What you meant for evil, God bent toward good. A story carved deeper than brotherhood. From pit to throne, where the wounded stood, grace turns drought into daily food. What you meant for evil, heaven understood. Mercy grows wild where hatred brews. Judas steps forth with a steady plea, a man remade by calamity. Take me instead, let the boy go free. His words burn bright with sincerity. Joseph trembles at the sacrificial tone. A brother changed, a heart full grown. He sends the servants from the hall, tears breaking through the rigid wall. I am Joseph, his voice unbound, echoes rising like a living sound. Is my father well? The brothers shake, terror blooming in the frozen ache. But Joseph draws them with open hand, a mercy deeper than shifting sand. Do not despair for the path you chose. God planted life where your malice rose. You sold me here, but God stood near to save his people in the famine's year. Forgiveness blooms where the ashes drift. The wound remembered becomes the gift. What you meant for evil, God bent toward good. A story carved deeper than brotherhood. From pit to throne, where the wounded stood, grace turns drought into daily food. What you meant for evil, ever been understood. Mercy grows wild where hatred brews. Caravans roll through a sun-worn sweep. Jacob rising from a lifetime's deep. 70 souls in a pilgrim train. Israel carried through famine strain. Joseph meets him with the cry sublime. A son restored across shattered time. Years flow on in a gentle tone. Gushing blooming has a sheltered zone. But Jacob's days reach the final shore. Blessings fall like a lion's roar. 12 sons shaped by a father's word. Prophecy sown till the age is stirred. He breathes his last in the gathering. A patriarch folded beneath God's wing. Joseph weeps as the embalmers move. A grief still tender, a son's last proof. After burial in a far-off cave, the brothers fear the wrath they gave. Now he'll repay us for what we've done. Whispers trembling beneath the sun, but Joseph answers with a patient flame. I'm not God, nor his wrathful claim. You meant me harm in the desert strife, but God-shaped blessing through this broken life I will sustain. Your children to what you feared lost, God carried through. What you meant for evil, God bent toward good. A truth sealed, ancient, still understood.
and chained to a nation's roof.